I'm going to discuss with you the most important tips to score higher bands in your IELTS exam. Firstly, I will tell you the overall thing that you can do to score good bands. The first thing is you can do practice. Practice, practice, and practice. Even a native speaker cannot get a good score in IELTS without practice. So, you really need to practice a lot of tests to have confidence of scoring higher bands. As we all know, practice makes the man perfect. So, you should do practice as much as possible. The second thing you can do is understanding the pattern of the exam. Get to know the exact pattern of the IELTS exam by going through IELTS test modules. Once the whole pattern is clear to you, then you can easily score higher band. So you should go through the pattern and you must be clearly understood with the pattern. The third thing that you can do is you can go for online training sessions. You can always look for some online training sessions who provide you the live video classes and can make you perfect through online only. You can go for this option if you are required. Otherwise, you should do practice and you must be clear with the pattern. What more you can do about the different tasks to score good bands, I will tell you. For listening, here are some of the important tips that you can follow to score good bands or the higher bands in your IELTS exam. The first thing is read before you listen. That means predict the answer. One difficulty in the exam is that you are not just listening but reading the questions and writing the answers all at the same time. One simple tip to read the questions before you listen so that you know what you are listening for. It is a difficult skill to master, but it can be sometimes help to try and predict the type of answer you are looking for. Is it a name, for instance, or a number? That thing you can predict by reading the question before you listen. The second point is read as you listen. Focus on the whole question. A huge proportion of mistakes are made not because you haven't listened well, but because you do not focus on the question. As you are listening, focus on the precious wordings of the question. So, you must read as you listen and focus on the whole question. The next tip is look at two questions at once. One difficulty is that the answer to two questions often come quickly one after the other. Can you get both answers? Maybe or maybe not. But the only way you can is if you are ready for the next question. I had add that it is no problem getting one question wrong. The real problem is if you lose track of where you are in the listening and you are still listening for question 13 when the cassette has moved on to question 15. So you must try to look at two questions at once. The next step is do not leave the writing to the end. Sometimes candidates leave the writing part to the end thinking that they will remember what they heard. In my experience, this almost never works. There is a lot of information, you are under stress, and most importantly, after each listening, you should be moving on to the next set of questions to read them. So, don't leave any question or answer to write at the end. Write it side by side. Whatever you are hearing, just write it down. The fifth thing is practice your shorthand. You do not have to write everything that you down. You have 10 minutes at the end to copy your answers onto the answer sheet. So what you need to do is to learn how to write down enough for you to recognize as you are listening so that you can write it out in a full later. The one exception to this is in part 1 with numbers and the names, where you have to write everything out in full as you are listening. That is the challenging. The next step is do not write the answers too quickly. Sometimes you hear what you think is the answer, but the speakers goes on to correct themselves or give slightly different information. So I will see you on Wednesday afternoon. Sorry, I am busy then. How about Thursday evening? Fine, Thursday at 7 o'clock. So here is a twist. So never write answers too quickly. First listen to the conversation properly and then write your answer. The next tip is don't leave any blank answers. There are two reasons for this, leaving the blank answers. Firstly, your guess may well be correct, particularly if it is a multiple choice style question. Secondly, there is a danger if you leave a blank that you write the answers in a wrong boxes on the answer sheet, and that can be a disaster. If one blank will be up and side down, all the answers may be get wrong due to the sequence error. The last tip that you can do for listening is listen for repeated information. This does not always work, but sometimes the words that are the answers are repeated. If you need to make a guess, choose the words you hear repeated. They could well be answers. So try to listen to the repeated information. Moving to the reading tips, what you can do is focus. Focus only the text first, the questions second. A good understanding of the text helps you answer the questions more efficiently and effectively. The second thing you can do to score good bands in reading is to learn the categories. IELTS exam writers select a range of specific type of text. Learning to recognize the type of text you are reading can help you predict its structure and therefore understand it more quickly. There are 4 types of IELTS text: analytic test, which discuss the reasons why something happened or make recommendation or explain a concept. Second, descriptive text, which describe a situation, explain how something is done or characterize something. Discursive text, in which different opinions are expressed about an issue. And the last one is narrative text, which explains a chronological sequence of events. So you must be clear with the categories, that what type of category is there in the text. The next tip is skim. Develop your ability to skim. Skimming is reading quickly by skipping over the unimportant words like prepositions and ignoring difficult words that you do not need to understand. Do this to get a general idea about a text or a paragraph, or to intensively search for the answer to the question. The next step is scan. Learn to scan. Scanning is what you do when you look for a price in an advertising text or a name in a telephone book. When you scan, you do not actually need to read the text but move your eyes quickly over it. You can scan from left to right or right to left, from top to bottom or bottom to top. Do this to find the location of the answer in the text, looking out for easy to spot words like numbers, dates, and words beginning with capital letters such as with place name. The next step is structure. Learn to recognize paragraph structure. This often involves spotting the relationship between the main ideas and supporting ideas in a paragraph. Paragraphs are most frequently descending, that is, they begin with the main idea somewhere near the start and develop from there. Although some frequently the first, the last paragraph of the text are ascending, the main idea is located towards the end. This can be particularly helpful when matching headings to paragraph. The next tip you can do is overview. Get an overview of a text before dealing with the questions. Do this by reading the title and subtitle as well as focusing on the beginning and end, but not just the first and the last sentence of paragraph. This helps you progress the information in the text and thereby answer the questions more quickly. So these are some of the reading tips that you can follow overall to score good bands in your IELTS exam. For writing, the tips that can help you to score higher bands, I'm going to discuss with you. The first tip that you can follow is do not write too little. For task 1, you have to write 150 words, and for task 2, you have to write 250 words. Make sure you do not write less than this amount or your band scores may be reduced. Begin to get an idea of how many words you normally write on one line. This way, you will know roughly how much you have written without having to keep counting all the words. You probably won't have time to do this. The second tip is do not write too much. The examiner is looking for quality, not quantity. You will not necessarily get more marks for writing more, so don't write more for no reason. This will really depend on your writing ability. Someone of a higher level who needs to spend less time checking their grammar will have time to write more. So stick to the information because they are not checking your word limit, they are checking your matter. The next tip that you can follow is plan and check your answer. Don't just start writing when the time begins and stop when it finishes. Use some time at the beginning, checking you understand the question, brainstorming your ideas, and planning your answer. Then spend some time at the end checking your grammar. The next tip that you can follow is spend more time on task 2. More of the marks are for task 2 and this task requires 100 more words. So spend 20 minutes on task 1 and 40 minutes on task 2. It does not matter which task you write first, but just manage your time while writing your writing module. The next tip that you can follow is write clearly. You are not being guarded on your handwriting. However, if the examiner cannot read something you have written, it is not going to help you. So try to write clearly and always try to organize clearly. Do not present the examiner with a wall of writing. Make sure you make a use of paragraphs, that is body paragraph 1 and body paragraph 2, to divide up the different arguments or topics you are discussing. If the topic is about agree and disagree, in BP1 you must go with agree part, in BP2 you must go with disagree part. But make sure your points should not contradict. So these are the tips that you can use in writing. For speaking part, what are the tips that will really help you to score good bands? Let's discuss. The first tip that you can follow is give a full answer. Don't just give one word answer or yes no answers. Always try to give full answer what the examiner asked. The second tip that you can follow is speak clearly and don't worry about your accent. Everyone has an accent when they speak English. The important point is that you enunciate the best you can so the examiner can understand you. So speak clearly. The next tip that you can follow is that you can use descriptive words. Don't use boring words like good, bad, nice or okay. Use exciting words that convey emotions. Practice using higher level words for every single word you know, such as thrilled instead of happy or depressed instead of sad. So try to use descriptive words to make your speaking more effective. The next tip is don't use slang. You have 11 minutes to display the best English you know in all the year that you have been learning English. Choose to be formal rather than informal. The next tip that you can follow is keep a steady pace. Don't speak too fast or don't speak too slow. Guys, follow these tips seriously with lot of practice. Then see, definitely you will score high in IELTS. So guys, these are the tips for all the 4 modules that you can follow and it will definitely help you to score higher bands. Guys, do like and subscribe our channel for more updates. Thank you for watching this video.